Hello, Sagittarius. This is your reading for March 9th through the 15th. I am Art Kozak. This is Art Kozak Tarot. And Sagittarius, interesting times coming up in the coming week. I am seeing that the major theme, well, really, let me put it this way. The transition you're making as we start the coming week, starting with the 9th of March 2020, is one that goes from holding on to your resources, and those might be emotional resources, that might be material resources, holding on desperately to your resources, to an ending. Okay, this is going to be a pervasive ending. This is going to be something that simply goes away and precipitates a pervasive change in your life. Now, this may or may not, this may be something that you're looking at. Typically, this would be something that a person would look at with a little bit of trepidation, but I don't think that's what you're doing. I think that what you've been doing is that you've been working for this. You've been working to try to go through some kind of evaluation process and diligently working so that you could obtain a new lease on life. Okay, so that you could come to a new place, probably financially, or at least involving finances and your material self, come to a new place where you can leave the old behind and step into a new life. Okay, and so the old life is going away in the coming week. What does that mean? Well, on the practical side, in terms of events that you can look for in the coming week, I think you're going to meet somebody. And if this was strictly a love reading, if romance and love is strictly what's on your mind for this reading, this is going to be a very attractive person. Somebody's kind of hot, and somebody who is very passionate, extremely passionate, and somebody that you're potentially passionate for, but for whom there may be a hard boundary between yourself and this other person. Okay, and if love is not the first thing on your mind, because I try to be general enough that it can fit different circumstances for different people. Just what I'm seeing in the cards is you're going to encounter a very passionate person, somebody who's very energetic, somebody who's potentially very attractive, very sexy, but there's something that has to do with the win-loss battle involving this person. Okay, there's, again, some hard limits here and some limitations that are going to be set either by you or by this other person. I do see in the social sphere a rejection taking place, and this doesn't necessarily mean you being rejected. This is about walking away from something. Okay, this is about walking away, maybe walking away from old circumstances, but I think what I'm picking up here is this is potentially another person, maybe a person that you've dealt with in the past that is finally just going to say, okay, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Okay, somebody from your past who's walking away from you, and that's a good thing. That's what I get here. And this is somebody who is potentially a little dark, a little bit on the intuitive side, but not necessarily somebody that you want to keep up a relationship with. There's a completion coming here in your social sphere. Okay, the completion of a relationship that involves a rejection, a walking away, a final ending. And again, this is going to be, what I get is that this is going to be good for you. This may have to do with, and it's at the very least going to resonate with or coincide with the ending of your old life and your old concerns. I see in the past that you may have had your wishes upset by some very negative forces. Again, this is something that you're going to be letting go of or stepping away from, ending. Okay, back to the events coming up in the coming week. So you're going to be dealing with somebody very passionate, but yet with whom some hard limits or some boundaries, clear boundaries are going to wind up being set or need to be set with this person. Later on in the week, that's when you're going to be ready to charge forward. And whether it has to do with a relationship, whether it has to do with this particular person that you've met earlier in the week or that you've dealt with early in the week, maybe not, but I do see later on in the week, you're going to be ready to charge forward into happier circumstances, into very happy circumstances. So try to keep that in mind as you're going through some of the more challenging things early on, is that the good life is about to come, and you, or at least you're going to see the good life right in front of you, and you're going to go for it. The ultimate outcome for this week is one I see in which also, it's one that I also see involving another person. This may be, again, another person. This may be the same person that you're dealing with overall. But this is someone who is very emotionally competent. Someone who is extremely emotionally competent. Now, if I were doing this reading for a man who is looking for a woman, if this was a love reading, this would be someone who is very sweet and kind and loving, and yet not a fool by any means. And I think that probably describes this person all around. Somebody who's a little bit dreamy, but again, not a fool by any means. This is going to be a good partner for you. You're going to be partnering, working with this person, whether you're working with this person in terms of a new relationship or you're working with this person financially or professionally. Maybe a little bit up in the air, but I see that the emotions and the interpersonal exchange is more to the fore in what I'm seeing here. I do think that professional advancement or stepping forward with your career is on your mind. It's in the background of what you're doing and what you're thinking. It's something you're carrying around with you, the desire to step forward with your passions, probably your passions involving your work, doing something you're passionate about. This is something that these involves your hopes and fears. This is what you're hoping for. And I do see some progress there, but this may be progress more in terms of A, getting over the old stuff, letting the old stuff die, letting the old stuff go, and B, forming relationships, even interpersonal relationships, that are then more helpful to you going forward. Having that interpersonal area of your life shored up, secured, going the way you want it to go, so that then when you step forward professionally and you start to focus on your profession a little bit more, you can do that as a more well-rounded and complete person. So I hope that something that I've had to say here is helpful to you in the coming week. Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. There's also a link to our Patreon page in the description box below if you're interested in that. Once again, I am Art Kozak, and I look forward to speaking to you again in the future.